Hi, I'm Nico. I made a Cubase template for the latest version of Spitfire BBC Symphony Orchestra Core, and you can download it for free. This is how nice I am. You can get it from composingtips.com because I cannot obviously host files on YouTube, and I will just drop the link below. I've also made track presets. We will see that in a moment, if that's your preferred way of working. And of course, I've also made expression maps. Everything that I'm showing you here was tested with Cubase Pro 11 and BBCSO Core 1.2, which is the version that includes muted brass and was just released. So, let's have a look at what you are getting. First, when you open the template, this is what it will look like. You can, of course, collapse folders. I just expanded them so you see everything. You have a sketching area at the top where I've added the Cubase core track. You have the marker track, the signature, the tempo track, and a time code. A cool thing is, if you are downloading this template, my color palette, which is a bit larger than the one that comes by default with Cubase, will be included with the template. So how is this organized? Let's first have a look at the sketching area. We have the core track, which is a Cubase function, and the core track is outputting its sound to this chords out patch. And because I don't know what sketching tool you are using or what piano library, what I've done is I didn't set any VST on this, and I didn't set any VST on the piano sketch. So I didn't add contact or play or synchron player or whatever. So what you have to do if you want to use this area is that you have to load something in it. And here I will use a contact instrument and a piano. Let's take una corda, for example. I will take this one, and now you have a piano, and you can do the same with the chords out patch here, and everything that gets played from the core track will output there. Okay, so that is for the sketching area. We'll just mute it and collapse it. So every patch, every instrument that you have inside BBCSO Core, so again, this is the core version, it is not the professional version. All these patches and instruments are loaded already for you in the template. So let's take the violins for example. See, I can open the instruments and yeah, it's loaded. But if we look here on the left, you can see that under expression map, you have a full expression map for all the violins articulations and for all the strings, for all the patches actually. Meaning that if you are writing something, you can open the expression map lane here at the bottom of your piano roll, and you can simply choose what articulation you want to use. These expression maps are of course here, so you can have a look at how I made them, and you can modify them as it suits you. The template is not in score order because when I write, I usually start with the strings or the woodwinds, so I like to have them at the top. Obviously, you can change the order, you can change the color, but this is, this is very, very quick to do. So, yeah, we have the strings, we have the woodwinds. You can see the woodwinds, I've separated them in two different subgroups. Here we have the solos, and here we have the ensemble. So all the A3 patches are within this ensemble folder. Let's collapse this. Let's have a look at the brass. I've put the horns, so the solo horn and the four horns at the top with a different shade of yellow-orange. Again, you have the expression maps that are associated with, and if you take one, for example, you can see that now you have the muted brass as well. Okay, then we have the percussion, and here I've just adapted it to the way that I like to work. I perfectly know that the timpani should be inside the tuned percussion, but this is not how I use a timpani, so I put it in the percussion group with a darker shade of orange, so you can separate it. We will see in an instant where these things are routed, but first let's finish with the template. Here we have the tuned percussion. Again, we have the expression maps associated with each instrument. In the percussion, we don't have expression maps for everything, because, for example, the bass drum, if I open it, you just have a bass drum and there are no other articulations. Since an update, it was not 1.2, it was a previous update, you can disable patches, so that's what I've done here. So if, for example, you take just snare 1 and you open the patch, you will only see snare 1 here. If you'd rather have all of your percussion on one track, which is perfectly fine. I find it harder to mix, but you can do that. You just click on this small icon here, and here you can add the patches that you want. So for example, we are on snare 1, you can see it's D1 activated. I can add bass drum 1 and tenor drum, for example. I save, and now you see that I have these 3 patches. So let's remove them, because I really like, for the percussion, to have one track per instrument. Regarding the balance, one of the great strengths of BBCSO, the BBCSO library, is that everything is balanced out of the box, and it requires very, very minimal adjustments. So what I've done, as you can see, we start here at bar 51, which is timecode 0, because, yeah, that's just me. I like to start writing at bar 51, because I usually use the bars before for sketching or trying out stuff. Or sometimes I start writing the climax of my track, and then I work my way backwards to the intro. Anyway, if I go at the very beginning of the template at bar 1, you can see that here we have the default signature, which is 4/4, and you have already events. These events are my default event, just to set the CCs out of the box. So if I take the violins, for example, and I go here on the modulation, you can see that the modulation starts at value 80, and if I look at the expression, it's at value 127. You could absolutely add one more lane, for example, to set the vibrato, and so on and so forth. So, which means that if I'm at bar 51 here, and let's say that I open the cellos, you can see that I'm already here at a value for CC1 of 80, and for expression I'm at the maximum. So this way I'm not playing fortissimo and I am not playing pianissimo. It's just the way I like it, so I can start playing. And this way I'm at a value of 80. And I've done this for all the instruments that are controlled with CC1. It's, for example, the case of the celeste, the vibraphone and the crotales for the percussions. Brass, woodwinds and strings have their dynamics, at least for the long notes, of course, controlled by CC1. This is for the sequencer part of the template. Now we will take a quick look at the mix consoles. I'm using two consoles here, and I will show you what I've done in exactly 15 seconds, because if you are interested by templates, if you have an interest in building templates or mixing libraries together and so on and so forth, I've written a whole course about that. It's about a bit more than 7 hours of videos, and I just want to show you the trailer for that course, and I see you again in 15 seconds. Okay, we are back, and now all these patches are of course routed to somewhere. They are not just routed to the stereo output. So let's first take a look at you see here you have your different mix consoles. So I'm using two of them, one for the groups and one for the individual instruments. If you are not familiar with the mix console in Cubase, I have a video, just look for it on my channel, where I explain the way how I work with the Cubase mix console. Anyway, we have these groups here, so this is where each patch of BBCSO Core will be routed. I've also added a sketch patch that's for everything that you will add in this sketch area. So for example, the piano sketch here, let's have a look. See, it's routed to this sketch thing, so it makes it very easy to simply mute it. For your convenience, and mine as well, I've added two auxiliary buses, because sometimes I add a choir, for example, or a piano. Piano and choirs are not part of BBCSO, but I like to have buses ready in my template, so I can just route the new patches to these buses. Okay, before we go further with this group thing, let's look at the other console that will show you the individual instruments. So here you have all the patches, and there is not much to see here. I just want you to pay attention to this. The faders, I like to have them by default at -6 dBs. So just so you know, when you load this template, each patch will be set at -6 dBs on the output of the channel, but I've also added a +3 dB of pre-gain. So when entering the mix channel here, the signal will be raised by 3 dBs, and this is very useful when you add plugins here, like analog emulations and so on and so forth, so the signal comes in a bit more hot. But when you are exiting the channel before it gets routed to the strings bus, for example, I drop the volume by -6. If I play these violins now like this, compared to the original way that BBCSO Core is set up, we apply +3 and -6, so it's the default BBCSO volume plus 3 dB. You can see here the plugin says 0 dB. It's not the case because of what I've done here. It will be at +3 dB. And of course, all these instruments are routed to their respective buses here. And now, I don't know if you hear, there are a lot of ambulances and cars passing just in front of my building, so let's... Okay, they are gone. Sorry for the interruption. Anyway, all these buses, they are routed. Let's take a look at the routing to this sum bus here. And this is something I've received many questions on about. Usually when I do, when I make a new template, I route every subgroups to the sum bus, and this sum bus I use for one purpose and one purpose only. It is to gain stage the whole track, so that when I enter my mix bus, I'm already at a volume of 0 VU. You don't have to care about that, it's just the way that I'm working. But let's take a flute, for example, and so you can see the signal. So, see, the flute is routed to woodwinds, which is routed to sum, the sum goes to mix, and the mix goes to master, and the master goes to stereo output. On the mix bus, I've added two plugins. You have them because I made sure not to use plugins that are not built in Cubase. They are not in a disable state, they are unloaded entirely. So you can load them if you want. You have a multiband compressor and you have an EQ, so it's really straightforward. I will just unload them again, and of course feel free to change that with your own plugins. I just wanted to make sure that I am not using plugins that you don't have, because the template would not load on your machine. And once you are out of the mix bus, we go into the master bus, and again the master bus has only one unloaded plugin. It's a limiter, of course, to bring your whole track at 0 dB or minus 0.3 dB. It is all depends on your way of working. The stereo output I use for one and only one purpose, is for the metering. Cubase doesn't have that many metering tools, but Cubase Pro 11 comes with this supervision plugin, and I absolutely love it. Let me just take, for example, a flute and a piccolo and the oboe, and look at this plugin. So here you already have a great deal of information. So again, this is just for convenience, and yeah, I mean, just rework this part and use the plugins that you are used to work with and that work with your workflow. Regarding reverb, For this template, I didn't add any convolution reverb because the early reflection that come with BBCSO are really good. I really like the sound of the room. It's the BBCSO hall. It's in London in Maida Vale, and I think I'm not sure, but that by now they destroyed that hall and that the BBCSO moved to a new place. Anyway, this Maida Vale hall has great early reflections, so no need to use a convolution reverb here. But still, I like to have a bit of a tail reverb. I will make you listen to it. Let's take the violins. One, I will take a spiccato patch, just go somewhere else here. So, as you can see, I have this bus here, it's called reverb tail, and I send a bit of the strings, a bit of the woodwinds, the sound level are set according to the position of the sections in the orchestra. So because the strings are closer to us, there is a bit less reverb than, say, the timpani or the percussion. Yeah, I mentioned before the timpani, I like to work separately with it, so there is a bus just for the timpani. So this reverb, first I've added an EQ. So when you go into the when you are sending to the reverb, you have this Cubase frequency 2 EQ with a low cut, and here you have two negative peaks. I like to cut a bit here, for example, at around 500. I remove 3.5 dBs, and at 2.5K, I remove 2 dBs. It's just not to add more build-up before we hit the reverb. The reverb is the algorithmic reverb that comes with Cubase. I've completely deactivated here the early reflections. We are only using the tail part of the reverb. I've used a preset that is called Concert Hall Warm. I like it. It's quite a good reverb. It's not my go-to reverb. Usually I use VSS3 or Pro R and Cinematic Rooms, but again, I am not sure that you have it, so I've used one that comes with Cubase. The delay for the reverb to give the sense that the whole is quite big, I've increased it to 60 milliseconds. So see, this is with the reverb. Here. And without the reverb, if I turn off the sound, the tail is nice, but you know, I like to have a bit more tail. There. Okay, and that's it for this template, so I hope you will enjoy it. Now let me quickly show you one more thing. What you are getting, it's this. If you download this BBCSO Core 1.2 full template and you unzip it, you get this. So you of course get the template without the backup file here. It's Cubase that created it. You get the expression maps. So if you just want the expression maps to work with your template, you can just use these. Of course, you don't need to load them if you open this template. They will be already inside. And you also have track presets. I know that some people prefer to work with track presets, and if you don't know how to work with them, this is how you do it. You go to Cubase, you say, for example, that you want to save these patches as track presets, and you choose where you want to save them. But these that I'm giving you, you have to install them at the location where Cubase expects to find track presets. So the best way to do that is to just go inside the save window and say reveal in Finder if you are on Mac, and on Windows it should be something like show in Explorer or something like that. So you click reveal in Finder and it will open you see here the location, it's on my Mac hard drive, in users, Nico, library, application support, Steinberg, track presets, multi, blah 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 blah. So by doing this, it will already open the location. So you can just take this stuff and copy, paste them in here. And next time that you will want to load a track preset, let's do a test. I say use track preset, user content, I go to track presets, multi, and for example brass, and Spitfire BBCSO Core brass, and here I can choose this track preset and load it. I've always added at the end how many patches you are getting. So if you load the whole brass from BBCSO Core, you will get 8 patches. So let's try that. And you see, here they are. And the cool thing with that is that the expression maps are already built in the track presets, so you don't need to download them or install them. And yeah, that's it. I've just made sure that you are not obliged to download the full template. If you just want the track presets, you have a zip file for that. If you just want the template, you have a zip file for that. And if you just want the expression maps, you also have a zip file for that. So again, they are available on composingtips.com. This is a free online platform for composers, and it allows me to host files for you to download on it. And that's it. So now I would recommend that you stop watching videos and that you go load BBCSO Core and start to write some great music.